This broadcast is brought to you by velocitymicro.com. Hello nerds and nerdettes, geeks and gamers. I am Sebastian Sjöberg, and I can't believe it's already the 7th Polygonrevue.com Starcraft 2 broadcast. The last couple of weeks have been amazing. The feedback, response, criticism that you've given, it's all been very inspiring and very helpful. Last time I asked you for help and advice on what kind of content you'd like to see besides these interviews, and many of you responded, said more coverage of the map making community as well as general eSports news that could easily convey what's going on, and also some of you wanted to see more in-depth feature type content and other stuff. And all I can tell you is thank you very much for the feedback. Some things are already in the making. It should come up later this week, I hope, and hopefully that shall be quite exciting. I've got more exciting news to say before we start this interview, but I'll reveal everything after said interview. I've got a very special guest coming on very soon, and that will make you excited, and I will need your help in letting me know what I should ask him on your behalf. So do listen to that after the interview. Also, I know the audio is a bit of an issue. I've still got my less than amazing Fatality headset going on here, but soon there will be a much better mic used to make this broadcast, and it should be very good for everybody. Now, however, it is time to introduce today's interviewee. He is what I would call the StarCraft 2 prodigy, a self-made man of pro gaming, because Kevin Riley, whom you will know as QXC, have only been playing seriously for 18 months or so, and last time I interviewed him back in the last days of Brood War, he was up and coming. It was a promising player. Now, well, he's part of the international elite. You saw him play in the 2v2 show match with Artosis against Team Europe and Jinro and TLO, and he's been featured in many high-profile events and will continue to do so. I wanted to interview him partly because he has managed to climb very far, very fast, and he will reveal his secret. Also because he is something of a map maker, and has got many interesting projects coming up, and it should be very interesting for many of you to hear how you can succeed at this game and what help QXC can offer in doing so. So without further ado, let's give it up to the prodigy QXC. Hello and welcome every nerd out there. I am Sebastian Sjöberg. This is the 7th Polygonrevue.com Starcraft 2 broadcast, and today I'm talking with Kevin Riley, someone you will know by the handle QXC. How are we doing today, Kevin?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Not bad at all. Summer is good in Sweden, but not as good as in California, at least if you believe the advertising, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You and I talked once before in the last days of Brood War. Obviously it's not dead, but back then it was just as the beta had come out, or was about to come out, I'm not quite sure, when me and In Control organized a little invitational tournament called the Dark Horse Tournament, in which you did very well. You were then the prodigy, so to speak, and you had been taken part of the coaching program and had done relentless grinding on Icy Cup, quickly climbing the ladder, and now, all of a sudden, 3 or so months later, the StarCraft 2 beta has arrived and the game is soon released. You've done quite well for yourself, haven't you, QXC?
It's been a fun experience. A lot of tournaments, a lot of different games.
Yes, and most recently, of course, the very popular 2v2 show match organized by Husky and HD together with Tagalicious, the same sponsors that did HDH Invitational, where you played with Artosis against Team Europe, Jinro and TLO. And viewers, right now you're watching Game 1 of that tournament in the background clip of this interview. And if you haven't watched the actual tournament, go and do so now, because we're going to spoil the results. That was a very, very fun event. Do you see 2v2 making it as a genuine sport in StarCraft 2, or is it just for show?
Man, I don't know. I remember looking back on some of the old Brood War stuff, and they used to play 2v2 more, and it kind of got phased out. And I think the general consensus is that most people don't like 2v2. Like, most of the top 1v1 players aren't really a fan. I know I'm not a huge fan of 2v2.
Would you have felt any differently if Team Europe had not done that quite unique strategy and managed to claim the win?
It wasn't so much the strategy. Part of what bothers me on 2v2 is if I try and ladder 2v2, I have to have someone else to play with, or I'm somewhat wasting my time, because a big part is teamwork. And I found that the general skill level on the 2v2 ladder is lower than on the 1v1 ladder, so it's even harder to actually find good games.
That's probably true. Did you and Artosis practice a lot for this tournament?
We practiced for 2 or 3 days, I think, for several hours each day. But the practice didn't prepare us well enough. We never played anyone out of our probably 40 or 50 games on ladder that were anywhere close to what the skill level of TLO and Jinro was.
I imagine so. It would take time and quite concerted effort, team effort, for a professional 2v2 scene to come about, I would imagine. But even so, it was a very entertaining event. I watched Game 4 just before this interview to prepare, and I implore viewers to check that out. It was quite an epic turnaround of events. But we hope to see more of that in the future, as well as hardcore 1v1s. But let's talk a bit more about you and your journey, so to speak. You have been a guest at the Day 9 Daily as an authority, and you're a maker of build order test maps and other things as well. A true self-made man of StarCraft, one could say, as you started playing Brood War not very long ago, and now you're, well, up in the international elite, I think is fair to say. How do you do it?
Persistence. That's the number one thing. I started playing Brood War, not the previous February, but the February before that, so about 1.5 years ago. And I would have days where I would finish classes, I would play all day, it would be midnight, I would play all night, I would be on a 14-game losing streak. I had like $60 of room damage because of StarCraft, and the next day I would just do it again and again and again until I overcame that and I got better. There was no other way I could have done it.
So, would you describe yourself as a systematic player who works at one particular aspect of your play, improves it, perfects it, then move on, or are you just all over the place, creative-like?
I'd like to see myself more as a mix. It's like I'll brainstorm with other players and I'll watch replays, both my own and other players, to get ideas. And then once I've got an idea, I will just hammer it out. I'll just do it over and over and over until it's up to my standards. And then if I'm really stubborn, I'll keep doing it. And otherwise, hopefully, I'll move on to something else.
Well, the reason I want to ask is because I think you're a quite good role model, so to speak, for other players who might recently have gotten into the scene and they see all these big names doing cool stuff on YouTube and they can't imagine themselves being able to, but they quite possibly can, can't they? You have, through persistence and perseverance, gotten very, very good. And it's not easy, but it's quite simple, isn't it?